Well, thank you for that weather, Colton. And thankfully, we're inside here. I'm still inside here with Communities in Schools with Mallory. So, Mallory, I'm looking at all these books here. I'm feeling a little bit nostalgic, guys. But tell me a little bit about some of the titles that you guys are specifically requesting.
So yeah, these books were picked by the student support coordinators in the schools that we are in, both in Lansing and in Waverly school districts. And they are specific to the schools and the targeted audiences. And they explain different types of people, right? They're talking about ways to learn differently, how you can help, how you feel in a community that isn't your own. And these are all books that are very important to students, but also teach them about other people in their lives.
That's great. And I love how you guys are, really making that effort to invest in these students, especially while they're young. And I know you have children yourself. You have two boys.
I do.
Right? So, of course, at work, you see the impact of what you're doing. But then when you come home, how do you feel that this is impacting your children at home?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm lucky, right? I get to read books to my kid every night before he goes to bed, they go to bed. That's not always the case, right? So we're trying to make sure that as many books are in hands as students as we can to take home to read with their families, right? Family engagement is so important, and once you read with the parent every night, studies show you're going to be a better reader. So for us, the more books the students have, the better off they're going to be.
That's awesome. And I know something I really like that you said is that you guys take mental health counselors, you take these social workers, and you put them right here one-on-one with those students. But what are some of those stories that they come back and they tell you about the kids that you guys work with?
Yeah, so the mental health coordinators, the counselors, right, they're in the buildings at times, but then we also have these local partners that we're able to bring in. And oftentimes the biggest challenge with being a partner in a community is getting into a school, right? There's so many people you have to go through to get into a school building. So for us, our job is to bring those right people, right place, right time into the buildings and support students. So when they come out, they're like, oh, we used our time wisely, right? We were able to work with the right kids. We were able to do what we can. And so for us, that's the key. It's the right student, right support, right time.
That's awesome. And speaking of right now would be a great time for you guys at home to visit WILX.com/Studio10 and look at our Amazon wish list so that we can get these specific titles. We're taking all different books.
Absolutely.
But we definitely want to make sure that we get these specific titles that are sitting here and that are able to, help invest in our students and whatnot. But can you tell me a little bit more about what that conversation is like when you meet with the principals and they tell you what it is that they're specifically looking for?
Yeah, so every year, actually every quarter really, our student support coordinators meet with their principals to make sure that what they're doing is aligned with what the school's big goals are. Usually it's an attendance goal, usually it's a behavior goal for the whole school, right? We're trying to get students in seats, keeping them engaged in education. Can't learn if they're not there, right? So for us, that's usually a main goal of principals. And so how do we engage families to make sure students are in buildings? How do we work with teachers to do something fun that they wouldn't be able to do otherwise? How do we do a literacy day, right? To bring literacy into a building in a way that's not just sitting on the rug reading a book to a student. So how can you make things a little bit more exciting from the outsider perspective than in an inside school building?
And you mentioned literacy days.
I did.
And these books are specifically for literacy days, but tell our parents at home who may not know what literacy days actually, what it means and what it is that it's doing.
So March is literacy month or reading month. And so for years we've been doing these literacy days. It started as whole school events. So every kid would get the same book and every had a volunteer to read with them. Same book. We did reading comprehension questions and the activities. Pandemic changed that a little bit. We did virtual last year, and this year we're getting back in a variety of different ways. So some of these books are going to specific classrooms and age groups of students. Some are going to the whole school. It really just depends on the environment and what works for the school, but all of these have different purposes.
That's awesome. Mallory, thank you so much just for the work it is that you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Communities in Schools, for the work it is that you're doing. And you guys, if you're at home, if you're interested in supporting Literacy Days and Communities in Schools, we've told you all throughout this week, you can visit Sylvan Learning Center and you can drop off books there. You can go to Tommy's Car Wash and you can drop off books there as well. You can head on over to WILX Studios. We're off American Road and you can drop off books right there in person. Or at home on this cold day, you can head on over to Amazon.com. You can check out our wish list, and this way you could donate books as well that'll support Literacy Days. So thank you again so much,
Thank you so much for
Mallory.
being here. Thank you.
Well, back to you guys in the studio.